Yes, guys, how are we? It's your boy Jack at the Irish Hotspur, here to bring you Stats with Jack. Probably one of the best previews, the most informed preview you can probably get from the Spurs community here. I will say for this one, though, it was a bit of a nightmare to make. This one was probably one of the most stressful sort of Stats with Jacks I can make. At one point, I almost threw the computer screen at the wall. You just had no idea who's going to be playing tomorrow. Even for Leicester, I have no idea really to a degree what the real lineups could be. But let's just greet some people into the building here. We got Dark Sun G saying, "Come on, you Spurs." Apparently, Leicester have no center backs available for tomorrow's game. So hopefully, our front two or three who plays can score and get 3 points. Liverpool this Sunday worries me. I'm going to watch Wolves. No, absolutely. I feel like this whole, center back situation with Leicester City is going to be a bit interesting. I'm pretty sure Sumare is going to be starting for them. Maybe they'll throw in Didi back there. I've gone for someone else. But certainly, Dark Sunday, I'd like to see goals, especially since Leicester City have conceded more than most teams, actually, than you actually even realize. They've already conceded 27 goals so far this season. He also says, because of my fellow Korean, Hwang Hee-chan, he'll be watching this. While watching that game, I will tune in on here at the same time. Big up, Dark Sunji. Since no center backs for Leicester, I'm predicting a 5-2 win. I'm loving that. I'm loving that, Dark Sunji. And also, I mean, I'd be watching Hwang Hee-chan if I could right now. I mean, I love him as well. And, you don't even have to be Korean to love Hwang Hee-chan. He's honestly tearing it up. And I really think he's spectacular, Dark Sunji. So that's a great reason. Hopefully, you'll keep your eye on both this sort of preview as well as the Wolves game. Killian Kenny saying, "Big up, David Harris. Happy Christmas. Have a good day. I'm 17 today." Whoa, Killian Kenny. Everybody give him the big, big, big happy birthday in the chat. Killian Kenny, happy birthday coming from me. I'll make sure David gives you a big happy birthday come later when we do our show with Matty Hayes. I'll make sure that he tells you a big happy birthday. But, 17, I would probably say you're much wiser than I was by 17. So I can say, Killian Kenny, happy birthday to you, brother. Happy Christmas as well to you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself on your birthday. Maybe have, a few things to do today. Maybe you're having a nice dinner. Maybe you're doing something for lunch earlier. Just, hopefully you've been enjoying your birthday. Sometimes you can not have a nice mellow birthday. Doesn't need to be crazy. Doesn't need to be, like partying all around. Sometimes it's just good to just kind of hang out with the people that you love, hang out with your friends, or even just hang out with yourself. I mean, I can tell you back then in the day, sometimes I used to just kind of enjoy just spending most of a birthday just kind of hanging out, doing stuff that I wanted to do all day, because that's what a birthday is for, my man. Do stuff that you want to do, brother. So happy birthday, Killian Kenny. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. Par Miguel Escobardo winning, already getting ahead of everybody, and that's what you need to be doing. Following Par Miguel's footsteps, everybody here, and wish Killian Kenny a big happy birthday. Big up Par Miguel Escobardo. I'm sorry I've been we've been missing each other's calls, but we'll catch up soon, my man. Yasin Shakur, one of the best names in the building, saying, "So apparently Spurs also wanted to postpone the game against Leicester. I'm all for people's safety and so on, but is it wrong to have the feeling I want the game to go ahead? I only like to watch us." No, I mean, it's not ridiculous. Believe me, Yasin. I've been kind of feeling that way as well. And I take COVID very, very seriously. I feel like we do have to keep, player safety in mind, but it's not ridiculous to just want the game to go ahead if it technically could be played. And the other thing as well is it's more falls on the Premier League than it does on Spurs or these clubs, because I think what's the case is that the Premier League just doesn't want to fall into another lockdown, another restart like they did before. And then as well, I think there's some sort of situation with the Qatar World Cup actually in mind as well, where maybe they're thinking there's maybe some kind of mutual agreement that the Qatar World Cup probably still has to go on, which I think is kind of ridiculous because that's going to be a pretty, I don't know, pretty awful tournament when you think about it. It's just not a good venue to have it. So that might be the other reason as well. They're probably pressured for time to, get this done, and they can't, postpone, the Premier League till the summer. It's just, a lot of conflicting interests. And so I don't think you're in the wrong at all, yes. And, especially because we've already gone, what has it been, practically, you had Burnley postponed, you had Rennes postponed, you had Brighton postponed. I mean, it's just, I don't know, we haven't seen our Spurs, really play very much. So I mean, Shakur, by no means should you feel guilty or anything. By no means should you feel guilty. Justin saying, "Hello, Jack. Great, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. I did want to ask people how they're all doing. And also, Justin, it's good to see you, brother. Thanks you for joining in." Dark Sun G saying he's just watching Hwang Hee-chan, as you should be. Yasin Shakur saying he's doing great as well. Big up, my man. Hopefully, that's good to see everybody's doing well. Rachel Vita's in the building saying, "Come on, you Spurs." Big up, Rachel. Hopefully, you're keeping well. Killian Kenny's also doing well. Dan N says, "Yes, finally able to watch live. Come on, lads." Dan N, thanks for joining us, my man. And also, sorry that we've been missing you. Let me know maybe what times maybe better work for you, especially because I know you do like to tune in for this sort of show. So do let me know. Maybe you've just been busy a lot. But big yourself up, Dan, and really appreciate you and always love seeing you. Interesting situation we're in with our lineup for tomorrow already being confirmed, basically. Yeah, I think it's just a ridiculous sort of situation. I had an absolute nightmare because this show takes a long time to prepare for. I do all the animations, which take a long time. I do kind of a lot of research into the sides, and then just to see a lot of it be kind of undone by some of the team news and whatnot. It was a nightmare making this one, I'll tell you honestly. Darren Herring saying evening, probably lack of preparation will be the biggest threat. Yeah, potentially. And also just a lack of cohesion at this moment in time. Big up Para Miguel, though. Dalam Namiad saying, not really too sure, but Dan Kilpatrick already leaked our lineup, Jack. Larice, Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga, Reggie, Doherty, Winks, Indombelli, Delhi, Bergvine, and Kane. I got close. I did get close. I got pretty close. So, but the animations that I made ahead of time, Dan N, do not include those. So, we're just going to have to bear with me for today. I do apologize, everybody. Tommy G wishing Killian happy birthday. Killian Kenny saying, thanks for the shout out. No, you deserved it, my man. You deserved it, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well, though, brother. Bjorn Roof, great name. Or Bjorn Ruff. How are you, Daniel Herring? Apparently they're just having a big conversation amongst themselves. But everybody, big yourselves up. Kieran Keys in the building saying the fringe players have got important opportunity here. Hill, Sessignon also could see some under 23s make an appearance. I just have to say, I'm pretty sure Brian Hill is one of those ones kind of tied down with COVID at this moment. Marcondi certainly, could be, coming in. Harvey White, Niall John, hopeful for some minutes to make an impact. Yeah, I would love to see especially Harvey White come into him because I will say he's one of my favorite guys to actually watch for the under 23s. I think he's almost too good for the under 23s at this rate, Harvey White. Seriously, the fact that even Harry Winks could be playing tomorrow is just disappointing to me because I feel like I think Harvey White's already a better player than Harry Winks. Maybe hot take. I really don't think so, especially on this channel. But yeah, it's good to see everybody in the building here. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody before we break this all down. Midnight Rider saying big up the Spurs from County Kerry. I'll let David know, Midnight Rider. Also, what a great name as well, my man. Great name. I'll let David know. And also tune in later, brother. Tune in later as well. Dan N saying I tune in when my coworkers don't schedule meetings during the shows. Yeah, I mean, sometimes maybe you might be in the middle of a meeting, Dan N, probably you're just kind of looking down under the table, just making sure that you still keep caught up on everything Spurs. But big up, Dan N. I appreciate the dedication, my man. I appreciate the dedication. George saying big up, Jack. Have to watch Woolwich versus whatever Ham. Yeah, I mean, I want to be watching that game as well, so I'll try to zip through this as best I can, George. Maybe just keep this on in the background or the other game on in the background and just watch some hammers, hammer down some scummers. But without further ado, everybody, please, before I break this all down, if you do enjoy the show, if you do enjoy Stats with Jack, feel free to share it to somebody because I will say it's probably the most informed preview that you can find around, especially in these circumstances when we have absolutely no idea what sort of lineups are out there, what sort of players, could be used for Leicester City or for Spurs. And so this is probably your best place, I would say, at this moment in time to give you the most accurate, maybe the best sort of preview that you can find. Also, when we do have more information for other ones, this is a great show to tune in for. So I do recommend that you share it to any sort of Spurs fan out there that likes to be informed, especially if you maybe are someone who likes a cheeky bet every once in a while. This is definitely a good show to have because you will get very, very informed, sort of accurate, stats and facts and everything on the whole, game that's coming up tomorrow. As well, everybody, as always, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe, hit that big red head button down below if you are new. Smash it with a Zidane forehead if you can. And then as well, if you want to stop me at any point in this big session of mine that I always try to run solo, feel free to throw in a super chat, to maybe get your stats across or even just get your opinions across and maybe something you feel like I missed, something that you feel like is maybe worth mentioning or just something that you feel like is just worth talking about. Feel free to throw it in a super chat. But as always, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for supporting the Irish Hotspur. It does really go a long way. Um, Wang Hee-chan is already injured. That's a bit scary. Hopefully that's not the case. I would really hate to see that. Dark Sun G, do let me know, my man. That is terrifying. But starting off, as always, with the cold hard facts, everybody. Since Leicester's return to the Premier League in 2014, this fixture between Spurs and Leicester has produced the third most goals, everybody. So of all the sort of like fixtures, of all the sort of kind of matchups between two sides only, since 2014, I think it was like Crystal Palace and Liverpool, and then I believe Arsenal and another side had more goals, produced between the two sides than this. But this, fixture since 2014 has produced the third most total goals since that date, which I think is a very kind of obscure but interesting fact, I will say. Leicester City have conceded the most goals in the Premier League this season with 27 between the first place position, Man City, and 13th place position to Crystal Palace. So basically from the top of the table to basically mid-table, everybody, they are in fact the worst defense so far this season, and that must be said. So Dark Sun G's original prediction of maybe a 5-2 win for us, isn't that actually crazy when you think about it? They really have not been a good defense so far this season. Leicester City have conceded the joint most goals from set pieces with Crystal Palace, tied with Crystal Palace with 10. And that stat did come from December 5th. So maybe it's updated a little bit, but I really doubt by very much, because Leicester City, I will be honest, everybody, have been quite terrible from set pieces so far. So really, everybody, like, you just have to take that into consideration. Leicester City, I feel like last season they were really known for kind of their defensive prowess. This season, not so much. Again, 27 goals conceded already, and then also 10 goals from set pieces as well conceded. So that is pretty terrible when you do consider that. That is pretty awful. Moving on to the head-to-head record between the two sides, Spurs' all-time record versus Leicester City: 58 wins, 21 drawn, and 37 losses. The last 5 Premier League results between us and Leicester was that 4-2 win at the end of the season last season. Now, the Gareth Bale performance, of course, as well. We did lose 2-0 at home, I believe that game was. And then a win of 3-0, a loss of 2-1, and then a win of 3-1. So at this moment in time, we are 3-2 in the last 5 results against Leicester City, which maybe suggests it's going to be a tight affair. But as you can tell, everybody, lots of goals in these sort of matches. So definitely going to be probably quite entertaining. Brendan Rodgers' all-time record versus Tottenham Hotspur: 7 wins, 1 drawn, and 5 losses. So decent record, you might say. Decent record. Not the greatest of records, but, not bad either, I must say. Antonio Conte, all-time record against Leicester City: 5 wins, 1 drawn, and 0 losses. Interestingly enough, I would say, they haven't actually faced each other, to the best of my knowledge. I tried to find research on, whether these guys have ever come up against each other. I don't think they have. So another kind of first time debut meeting between two managers. I do believe when Antonio Conte was in the Premier League at Chelsea, Brendan Rodgers had moved to Celtic. So I believe he left Liverpool in 2015, and Antonio Conte joined Chelsea in 2016. So they actually missed each other by just a hair. So that is the head-to-head record, everybody. We are going to move on to, which is going to be a bit scary. I'm going to try my best, everybody, to predict the Leicester formation. I'm going to try my best with this one. Dark Sun G, though, saying Leicester dropped to conference is how damaged they are. Yeah. And again, also that Napoli match was just insane. That Napoli match was insane. I could not believe the goals that Leicester City were conceding. I actually couldn't believe the goals that Napoli were conceding either, because they're actually supposed to be quite decent defense. But seriously, I mean, everybody, like, this is a different team from last season. They're not very good defensively, and they really are like suffering a lot of goals. So you could see this one being a high scoring fixture for sure. And yeah, I mean, dropping down to the Conference League, probably a bit, sad, in their case. They probably wanted to go very far in the Europa League. I feel like the Europa League was very much their level. They could have probably taken it to the semifinals, but, they just got kind of smacked twice, I think, in the beginning of the group stages, and, couldn't recover from it. So there you are, everybody. I mean, I feel like, Dark Sun G, it's going to be kind of weird seeing them in the Conference League, especially a team like that in the Conference League. Is definitely certainly a bit strange, everybody. So let's move on, though, to the Leicester formation, everybody. because this is going to be rough. This is going to be rough, I must say. I'm trying my best with what I can come up with here. But what I've gone for is Pats and Daka. I'm going to kind of go from top to bottom just to make it a bit easier. Pats and Daka, I'm going for up top. The reason being is because he's actually started in the last few Premier League fixtures instead of Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy did start in their last Europa League fixture, and then Pats and Daka came on to support him. But it feels like in the last few Premier League matches, they've actually favored Patson Daka, maybe because he's, has better hold up play than Jamie Vardy. I would say, despite Jamie Vardy still absolutely banging him in so far this season, his hold up play, actually, you can already tell so far is not as good as Patson Daka. So maybe they'll go for Patson Daka instead of Jamie Vardy for this one yet again. Like I said, and I'll repeat, they have gone for Patson Daka the last few Premier League matches over Jamie Vardy and left Jamie Vardy on the bench. Harvey Barnes, of course, he's been doing quite decently out there in the left wing. Dewsbury Hall, everybody, is, kind of coming into the side for reasons I don't know why. He's looked okay. He just looks good at kind of keeping possession, hardworking, kind of, central attacking midfielder. And then James Madison kind of outright. What's kind of interesting about this is that I feel like they'll be kind of fluctuating. They'll kind of be, switching and kind of basically rotating between each other. Maybe Dewsbury Hall will be kind of more, on the right defensively, but then maybe attacking will be a bit more central. And then James Madison will be out on the right, kind of whipping balls in, as well as just playing through balls in behind. So it is kind of an interesting sort of tactic they have, because they're both kind of similar players in the way that they all want kind of ball to feet, those two guys. But James Madison is also just clearly a much better player. But it is a bit interesting seeing Mr. Dewsbury Hall come into the building for Leicester City. Yuri Tielemans and Ndidi are my midfield for this one. You could probably see Ndidi, though, move into the back line, but I have gone for Tielemans and Ndidi. Of course, Luke Thomas, their left back. I do believe he's not out with COVID. I do think he'll start with this one. Sumare, I think, will be replacing some of the many missing center backs. Of course, Yannick Vestergaard out with COVID. Soyuncu may be out with COVID. I'm not sure what's up with him. Johnny Evans, I believe, is injured. Wesley Fofana is injured. I think they have another guy who's like one of their kind of younger sort of center backs, or really like, fourth, fifth string center backs, is also out with COVID. Basically, according to Brendan Rodgers, no fit center backs at this moment in time. So I've gone for Sumare and Timothy Castagna actually there at center back. The reason why is because Castagna has actually started for them as a center back in their back three. When they did play in a back three, he would play as that right-sided center back of the back three. So I've actually gone for him as the center back for this one, just because, he does have some experience as a center back. And they do a back three, though. So maybe we might see a back three for Leicester City in this one. That is actually a possibility. But considering they don't have any fit center backs, it seems like, it'd be kind of difficult to maybe pull that off, probably at least tactically. But maybe we might see it. They have gone for a back three, but at least for the last few, or, I think 4 or 5 matches, they've gone for this sort of 4-2-3-1, kind of 4-4-1-1 kind of sort of shape. Everybody. And then as well, apparently Ricardo Pereira is supposed to be back fit for this one. And considering they have so many absentees, I do believe Ricardo Pereira will be available for this one. So they are going to go. I'm going for Timothy Castagna and Ricardo Pereira joining each other. And then maybe if, let's say, Pereira re-injures himself, maybe they throw Castagna out wide and then put Ndidi in the back. So usually I don't explain, the predicted lineups that long, but I felt like I kind of had to, everybody, because, again, it is a bit of a stressful time to try to figure out what these sort of lineups could be like. But the unsung hero is going to be Yuri Tielemans, of course. And maybe he's not an unsung hero. Maybe he's more of a key player. But, I kind of like to believe that maybe he's just not really appreciated enough sometimes in the Premier League. He has the second most goals in the entire Leicester City squad in the Premier League with 5. The most key passes with 22, which is a very, very key stat, I must say. The most passes into the final third by considerable margin with 68. The most progressive passes by considerable margin as well in the entire Leicester City squad with 84. The most passes completed under pressure with 131, and the most shot creating actions with 40. Basically, he is their main creator. As much as maybe James Madison and maybe other players in that team, are very creative players, he's been still an absolute baller this season. Yuri Tielemans has, and kind of always has been, I would say, for them, and maybe just hasn't been appreciated enough potentially. He's also being linked with Spurs, actually, or at least Spurs are supposedly interested in that sort of contract situation. So everybody, keep an eye on Yuri Tillemans. Keep an eye on Yuri Tillemans. The key player is going to be James Madison for this one, just because of maybe what sort of players they have available. I'm going for James Madison as it the most assists with 3, the most passes into the penalty area with 14, the most through balls with 4. He has a considerable amount of through balls completed so far this season with 4. The most goal creating actions with 8. That is actually a fair few amount of goal creating actions, everybody. In fact, a lot of goal creating actions with 8. The third most goals with 4, and then tied for the second most players dribble pass with 14, everybody. So James Madison and Yuri Tillemans, the key player and the unsung hero. Maybe you could switch them. Maybe James Madison is, the unsung hero, but I feel like James Madison does enjoy a bit of attention and enjoys a bit of limelight. So it'd be kind of hard to say if he was an unsung hero because plenty of people do know about him. Just going to get to a few comments, just make sure I'm not missing any maybe good insights from anybody. Wayne Bonner's in the building saying, evening, Jack, evening, everyone. Are we definitely playing tomorrow? I've missed my Tottenham. I've been missing my Tottenham as well, Wayne. Hard to say. A lot of, I believe the Burnley match was postponed or canceled. I think they've rejected the opportunity to maybe cancel this one. So I think it's going ahead, at least to my knowledge. I think it's going ahead. I think what might need to happen potentially, we might see, matches behind closed doors again. Potentially might see matches behind closed doors in the future. That would be a prediction of mine, which would be quite sad, actually. King Hoddle saying, how can we predict this when we have no idea if the boys will be back? Big boys will be back. Good point, King Hoddle. I mean, seriously, it's tough. This is tough. But yeah, I don't think, they're going to let this be canceled. That Leicester Napoli game was one of the most fun I've watched all year. Seriously, it was. I was watching it actually, Dan, and it was actually spectacular. It really was. It just was goals galore. It was like, one team scored, then they just replied instantly. Especially, I would say, though, one Napoli player in particular that if you watch that game, Dan, and you couldn't have missed him, but I believe his name was Unas, or, that player that was playing outright for them, that kind of creative midfielder outright for them. I believe his name is Unas. For Napoli, he was tearing them apart. So hopefully we can see someone do that, virtually the same thing potentially against them. Yasin Shakur, big up, my man. George saying they've become a team that concedes every week. Yeah, seriously, they really have. Shamu's in the building saying, I can't take another canceled game, Harris. I don't want to have to settle for the Phoenix. Nearly as shit as Midnight Oil. That band is the unbelievably annoying. Big up, Shamu. I do believe David's joining us for this one in the background in the chat. He's a local youngster that broke into the first team, Jack. Maybe I missed a comment from you earlier, George. I'll try to catch up on that. Yeah, maybe I missed that. Sorry, George. Maybe out of context, I'm picking that one up. Dan N saying this is a perfect game for Kane to bring his break his Premier League duck. Seriously, I think it is. This is in fact one of the worst defenses to be coming up against. King Kane will score tomorrow. I can feel it. I'd love to see that. King Hoddle, welcome to the building. Michael Battle, great name actually. Come on, you Spurs. No doubt both teams having COVID. Spurs must win to catch up with the top teams to go up the ladder. Seriously. I mean, but we also have plenty of games in hand, and we're still sitting in a pretty good position, I will say, Michael. So if we win some of these matches, we could do well. So there you are, my man. Jerry saying at the Irish Hotspur, you guys wish me luck for a job I was interviewing for today. I got the job. Big up, Jerry. Thank you. Harris Army, Flat Cap Army. Big up, Jerry. And also congratulations, my man. Congratulations. You deserved it. You worked hard for it, my man. Absolutely deserved it. Big up. Every person in the Harris Army, every person in the Flat Cap Army deserves, a big cushy job. So, Jerry, you deserved it, brother. Well done. Well earned, my man. Well earned. Don't let him have shots on goal from distance. Completely agree. Deuce Perry. Oh, yeah. Thank you, George. Thank you, Art. Yeah, I guess he was promoted from the youth academy. He looks a bit older than the youth academy. So, I guess, he's done well enough. He actually looks a bit older than maybe what his real age is. That R. Schooner Madison been on fire since I dropped him from my fantasy team. Yeah, it sometimes can be like that, Golden Cock. It really can be like that sometimes. But pick yourself up, my man. We are going to move on, though, everybody, to how do Leicester attack. And the first one is going to be, it could be Jamie Vardy. It could be Patson Daka. The reason why I'm kind of going for either or in this scenario, it doesn't really matter which one you see on screen, is because they do make bit of the same sort of movements because Patson Daka, as we all know, is supposed to be kind of the heir or the replacement, almost like the apprentice to the 34-year-old Jamie Vardy. Even though Jamie Vardy is absolutely smashing it, Patson Daka is going to eventually, I think, be replacing Jamie Vardy when he does kind of fall off, the pedestal, when he does kind of, maybe choose to even retire and move on. Everybody. So this is the Leicester City goal. It is, just a bit of kind of Leicester City working it about, kind of in the midfield. And then Patson Daka loses his man, Eric Dyer here, and then just is able to tap it home. What must be said is that there are a few players in the Leicester City team that all want the ball to feet. They don't really make runs in behind. They don't, it's kind of like, it's almost like certain Man City players that don't really make runs in behind. They just all want the ball to feet. They all just turn and face the ball and, ask the ball to feet. It's not to say that there aren't good players, but that is something you can take advantage of because then that just means that there are only so many players up top, everybody that will be making those runs in behind, but that will be Patson Daka or, Jamie Vardy, everybody that will make these runs in behind. But what needs to be said is that someone like James Maddison here is going to be the guy that's going to be trying to ask the ball to feet and will try to make something happen, will try to play, a decent ball in behind, will try to take a shot from distance, will try to play somebody through. So everybody keep an eye on James Maddison. He's not going to be making runs in behind. He's not going to be kind of, working off the ball really hard, to earn space. He's just going to be asking for the ball to feet and just try to make some magic. And that's something that I feel like the Spurs defense needs to be aware of, everybody. So, and again, maybe the lineup that you're seeing, from the Spurs team at this moment in time, just ignore it. I made these animations ahead of time, not knowing really what this whole situation was. So do bear with me for this one. This is, a situation where I was working with like 30 different predicted lineups, not from like YouTube, from online sources, from everything. They're not also releasing which players really had COVID and which ones don't, like they do maybe over here in the US. So it's just, I've just been in the dark. Everybody been, like just shooting blanks in the dark, trying to figure out who really is actually available for this team. But again, one of the maybe possible ways that Leicester City could score is the very intelligent movement from Patson Daka or Jamie Vardy. Everybody, we'll play it one more time here. It's just them kind of working it about in the midfield and then maybe going for, some sort of, ball in behind to Patson Daka as he runs off Eric Dyer, who would struggle for pace against somebody like him. So hopefully everybody that you find this a bit realistic. We are going to move on to the next one, though. I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing any good comments, everybody. Vikas Shukla saying, so jealous of Leicester's signings. We should have Tielemans and Pereira. Ricardo Pereira is an unbelievable player, I must say, actually. He really is. And also, I mean, Yuri Tielemans, I am very jealous of. I do like Tielemans, actually. And he would fit perfectly in our side. He actually would do very well alongside a Højbjerg and a Skippy, actually, and be a good alternative to one of them as well. So could not agree more, Keith Hicks. Really could not agree more, my man. But we are going to move on to maybe James Maddison, a through ball. And James Maddison, again, everybody does have the most through balls completed compared to any other player in the Leicester City side. He will ask the ball to feet. He will come short for the ball and he will find, a bit of space for himself. And what he will do is he will find that, kind of pass that maybe no one else can. He will play that pass that no one else maybe wants to as well. He will take risks as well, James Maddison. So it's just, again, them kind of working it about. They find James Maddison coming short for Harvey Barnes, makes a run in behind, Davinson Sanchez, who loses him here, maybe, falls to the ground, eats a bit of turf, and, loses his marker here. And Harvey Barnes is able to take it inside to the box and curl it around Lloris. Again, a lot of the goals I do see coming from either Yuri Tielemans or James Maddison. Those two are fantastic passers, fantastic ball carriers, fantastic, they have fantastic vision, fantastic kind of, intelligence of, seeing what's in front of them. They do also have, great first touch. They just have great vision. They have great passing range. They're the two most dangerous players, I would say, because as much as maybe Patson Daka and Jamie Vardy, or maybe the goal scorers for a team like this, it really is, more Yuri Tielemans and James Maddison that do all of the sort of creative work in this sort of side. So again, maybe one more time, everybody, it is just kind of Leicester City working it around a bit amongst their back line, then finding a bit of space in the middle. And then James Maddison just carries the ball a bit forward, finds Harvey Barnes in behind, who curls it past Lloris. But those are the two animations that I've gone for, everybody, for Leicester City in this one. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully, maybe they seem realistic. Maybe you don't enjoy it just because no one likes to see Spurs get scored against. But this is how Leicester City defend, everybody. And they do defend in sort of a 4-2-3-1 shape. I can't really give them too many compliments, though, when it comes to their defense, because, again, they've conceded so many goals this season. So it really is just a typical 4-2-3-1 shape. It does make it easy to counterattack, for them, because in a 4-2-3-1 shape, it's easy to get forward because you can kind of go forward in sort of the same shape that you were defensively. Daka and Vardy work very hard in their pressing now, and Jamie Vardy presses hard. Patson Daka presses very hard, but I would say Harvey Barnes not so much, and James Maddison doesn't really press at all. So that also could be taken advantage of, especially since their midfield and their defense will be weakened by some of those center back absentees. So I would say, everybody, keep an eye on maybe the lack of work rate from maybe James Maddison and Harvey Barnes, because they do not really work very hard off the ball, especially when they do lose it. So maybe we can take advantage of that. That just is something that I feel like at least our fullbacks should take advantage of, our wide wingbacks. Indeed, he is their ball winner, but I would say can be very overly aggressive, as well as also with Ndidi, he is not very good on the ball. As much as he's a great ball winner, as much as he's good defensively, he can overplay a pass. He can also, maybe not be the greatest in possession. He loses the ball, quite a lot. He doesn't have a good passing range. I think in comparison to someone like a Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who both of them are both great ball winners. Both of them are both great defensively, but Højbjerg is probably at least has a lot more passing range to him. He has a lot more composure in his skill set. He has a lot better kind of passing and vision abilities than Ndidi. Ndidi is very much carried by the likes of someone like a Tielemans. He really does struggle in possession, so hopefully we can take advantage of that. I did write that Soyuncu would be in this lineup and he can be consistent. It looks like Soyuncu won't be in this one, so do apologize, everybody. Like I said, it takes a lot of work to do this sort of show, so I did make it ahead of time. So it might be instead, Castagna right there. It could also be someone else. It could also be maybe Ndidi back there. But if they were to rock Ndidi and Sumare back there, I don't know how that would go. I really don't. But let's move on to how Tottenham can win this game. Just going to make sure I don't miss any comments here, everybody. I'm getting frustrated at the animated Spurs for conceding so easily. Yeah, it is frustrating to watch, especially Kuva99 always keeps track of it. Dan Ann says Tielemans and Ndidi will run Winky ragged. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, actually. I would say if that midfield that we're all predicting of maybe it being Harry Winks and Tanguy and Ndombele, I am worried. That one will be rough. That will be rough. The person I drew in the cup only got 4 players that are fit and scoring points. Big up, Golden Cock. Hopefully your fantasy team is doing okay, my man. Spurs give me gray hair and stress my life out ever since I started supporting them. Harris Army give me a free super chat, but get a Guinness into you. Sorry. Sonny should be future captain. Let me make sure I'm not missing that free super chat. I don't see it, my man. But feel free to use that free super chat because I do have the phone out, my man. So feel free to use it, my man. Feel free to use it, Rob Coin. And I haven't seen it, brother. But big yourself up and thank you for all the support, my man. Really appreciate it. George says Maddison will lay balls across our box. Tielemans will fire on goal from anywhere around 20, 25 yards, given a chance. Yeah, George, well, spot on, my man. Seriously. Tielemans, I do believe, has the greatest average shot per distance numbers. I think he shoots it from the biggest range. And then as well, James Maddison has, I believe, the most crosses and passes into the penalty area as well. So you're absolutely spot on, my man. Absolutely spot on. But big up, George. Really, big yourself up, my man. But seriously, if Harry Winks plays tomorrow, everybody, that would be worrisome. But this is, maybe how I see us, maybe attacking the likes of it. Don't pay attention to everybody, the players that are included in this. Just look at maybe the diagrams for it. What will be kind of important, everybody, and this is, again, something that we highlighted on the Conte Tactics video, which was an absolute banger last night, is those half spaces. We need to find those half spaces in between the midfield and the back four. And those half spaces need to be taken up by the front three. And they need to be taken up by Harry Kane. They need to be taken up by, maybe Steven Bergwijn. Could be Dele Alli up there. Could be Gio Lo Celso up there. as well. They need to be taking up those half spaces because it is a great area to pick up the ball and turn and create from there. There also need to be triangles made. There really do, and especially out wide. So the wingbacks need to push forward, but when the wingbacks push forward, there need to be midfielders as well as players in the front three that form a triangle for them to be able to find options. Either they pass inside to a midfielder who then cycles it through there, or they pass it into somebody in those half spaces, like I was talking about before. So those are great ways to maybe break down a 4-2-3-1. And in fact, in that banger of a video last night, the formation that we did kind of choose to kind of use for our diagrams for our animations was a 4-2-3-1 because it is practically the most common formation used in the Premier League. Leicester are not the greatest defensively, everybody, as we've kind of rammed home. It is important that the front three find the half spaces between Ndidi and Tillemans in the back four. The fullbacks as well must create triangles out wide so that fullbacks of Leicester are drawn out. So everybody, again, don't focus on the players that are in this, kind of lineup. I've looked at a million different predicted lineups and, it's just been all over the place and I couldn't fix it. It takes a long time to fix it. And so just bear with me for this one, just give me a free pass for it, everybody. And hopefully you still, take a lot out of this. And this is going to be my predicted lineup. I wasn't aware maybe that Dan Kilpatrick, released a lineup for this one. So again, maybe everybody just bear with me. I went for ahead of time. I went for Sanchez, Dyer, Tanganga as the back line. Apparently Ben Davies has returned to training, but might not be used for this one. I've gone for Matt Doherty out wide because I feel like Emerson, he did have COVID. Will he actually come back into the lineup? I'm not so sure because of, that recovering from COVID and also the Liverpool game in mind. Højbjerg, I've gone for just because I thought he would be available. Maybe he isn't. And then I've gone for Tanguy actually playing alongside him just because I think I would much rather have Tanguy instead of Harry Winks alongside Højbjerg. My reason being is that, and I've discussed this before in watch alongs, Harry Winks, he doesn't play any sort of passes forward that are actually of any consequence. He just plays hospital passes into players' feet. He kind of just does stat padding passes. He doesn't carry the ball. He doesn't venture forward. And these are all things that then he just asks Højbjerg to do, which I think is a bit unfair. So if it were to be, which I guess it won't be, Højbjerg and Tanguy, I would much rather be Tanguy because at least we know Tanguy would try to actually make things happen. As much as Tanguy is an extremely frustrating player, I do believe, he's still at the end of the day much better than Harry Winks because I think they're both pretty useless defensively anyway. So you'd rather just have somebody that can actually do something going forward. Reguilón, I do have in this lineup as well. The reason I actually do see Reguilón playing in this one, the reason why is because, he had that injury, of course, against the likes of Norwich, but you think you remember like when he posted on Instagram or something like that, he said, I will be available, like in the next match, like he literally said, don't pull me out of your fantasy teams, which made me think that was for the Brighton match. So that kind of means that he backed himself to be ready by the Brighton match. It's then been close to, a full week and a half since, he made that post on Instagram. So I'd like to think that he has recovered quite significantly and probably should be available for this one, especially since we already are struggling for players. I feel like he will be available for this one and he will play. I do have Bergwijn, Harry Kane, and Lo Celso because Lo Celso should be back from his knee injury. Again, we don't have a lot of players available, so I feel like you just have to risk him and you play him instead of Dele Alli. Dele Alli's absolutely worthless up top in the front three. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't have pace. He doesn't have any sort of ball carrying ability anymore. He doesn't have any sort of eye for a pass anymore. So you probably just kind of play Gio Lo Celso up there and see what he can do. And then, we also, I guess, have to see what Steven Bergwijn can do alongside Harry Kane. Hopefully Harry Kane is going to have, much less support, much less quality alongside him for this one, but we'll see how he does. We see how he does for this one. But we're going to move on to our key player and our unsung hero, but let me bring up some comments here. Jerry saying, if Hugo is that relaxed in the match, Spurs are going to be in excellent shape. Love it. Dan N says Tanguy can play the skip role, but Winks can't play either Højbjerg or the skip role. I think Tanguy can't play the skip role, but I know exactly what you mean, Dan N, where Tanguy at least offers something, like, what he can actually do, what he can actually give us. There are a lot of things that he takes away from us, Tanguy. At the same time, there are a lot of things that he adds as well, though, where it's like with Harry Winks, I genuinely don't know what the guy is actually good at anymore as well. Even over on Football Daily, they did, a bit of a Harry Winks expose themselves. We did a Harry Winks expose. they did one where they were talking about Harry Winks of a huge fall from grace. He doesn't play any sort of passes, progressive passes anymore. He doesn't play any passes into the final third anymore. He doesn't carry the ball anymore. He doesn't dribble past anybody anymore. He just plays safe. He just plays safe so that he doesn't get embarrassed. He is absolutely shot for confidence. God help us if it's Winky and Endon Seriously, Chris. I mean, probably the worst type of combination you could come up with for a midfield. But big up, Chris. I do enjoy running it solo. I do actually enjoy running it solo, Chris, but really appreciate the support. Dan N saying, quite good prediction, Jack. Thanks, Dan. But, I think I probably will get plenty wrong for it. I'll probably just, have to come to terms with it. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare making this. Spurs 72 saying, David asking, Winks to play well is reaching a little bit. I mean, if anybody, the last person, I mean, seriously, everybody, pray for David Harris because he's going to be an absolute pain tomorrow if Harry Winks is starting in that lineup, especially along Tanguy and Ndombele. Kane the long shot saying, big up all. Thank you, handsome Jack, for all your hard work. Thank you, Kane, honestly. Thank you for all the compliments, my man. Big yourself up. Really appreciate you, my man. Really do appreciate you. And also as well, everybody, thanks for, keeping with me for this one. Time for Stevie B to show his class. Time for him to prove me wrong, George. It's time for him to prove me wrong, my man. Time for him to prove me wrong. Really, really appreciate it, though, George, for tuning in. And also, hopefully, he proves me wrong for this one because we need players to prove us wrong for this match. Our key player for this one is going to be Son Heung-min, as it always is. Most goals in the Premier League with 6 so far this season. Second most assists as well with 2. Most key passes with 22, which I do believe is tied with Yuri Tielemans, actually. Son Heung-min has been very, very creative this season. Most shot creating actions with 42. I believe that was also more than Yuri Tielemans, which is very impressive. Most progressive passes received, which is a pass of 10 yards or more with 95. Second most carries into the final third with 27. That is a fantastic stat. And the most carries into the penalty area with 15. That is an even better stat. So Son Heung-min has been an absolute baller in every sort of way so far this season. And the second most players dribbled past with 24. Not, much else to say. He's been, our best player this season. He's been our key player this season. He just will continue to be the key player until maybe someone else kind of takes that throne away from him because he's leading in all the stats that you want your forward to lead in. He's leading in everything that you want him to lead in. So big up to Sonny, absolute legend. Unsung hero is going to be Lucas Moura yet again. And he is because it could have been Reggie, but I had to kind of go for players that I guess, originally I thought Lucas Moura would be, maybe available, but I guess he might not be available for this one. But maybe just a bit of sort of a Lucas Moura appreciation right here. Most players dribble past with 33, which is close to 10 more, I believe, than Sonny actually has. So it really does speak to how many men that Lucas has skinned this season. Most progressive carries with 85, a great stat. So he does have the most sort of like carries of 10 yards or more, the most progressive carries, everybody with 85. The most carries into the final third with 32, tied for the second most goal creating actions. He's starting to create a bit more goals now. Lucas Moura is with 4, second most shot creating actions with 35. So his creativity numbers are jumping up a lot, everybody. And the second most passes into the penalty area with 13. So Lucas Moura has improved the creativity numbers significantly this season, as turning out to maybe be having one of his better seasons, at least statistically, I would say, for probably some time. So big up to Lucas Moura, actually. Big up to the man. And we will break down now, everybody, how do Spurs attack? Again, everybody, if you have enjoyed the show so far, if you do have any sort of questions, if you want to ask me anything about maybe what you think this game will go like tomorrow, any sort of questions on the lineups, any sort of questions on maybe how can we best maybe take apart Leicester City, feel free to throw it in a super chat. It does really help support the channel, but it also helps, put your comments ahead. Since I am running it solo, it is kind of hard for me to get through all your comments right away. So if you do just kind of want to stop me at any sort point in time, feel free to throw it in a super chat. And it does really help support David and I on this journey. It also supports, a bit of the hard work that goes into shows like this. Because I will say, like I always like to say, is this is probably the most informed preview you can get, especially in times like this for a match like this. But big up, everybody. Thank you, as always, for joining in. How do Spurs attack, everybody? Let's break that down. Kane losing his marker is going to be one of them. It is going to be Harry Kane dropping into that half space, Harry Kane dropping into that deep space to find the fullback. in this one, and it's going to be him playing Region. Maybe Region plays in this one. Obviously, you're seeing Sonny and Lucas. Don't really pay too much attention to that. But instead, I kind of had to change it because originally I had him playing Region. But maybe if Region doesn't play, I didn't want to overuse him. So instead, I went for, Harry Kane playing kind of a loop ball over the top to an inverted run from Matt Doherty. So that would be crazy if we saw that. But, if Matt Doherty does, feel brave enough to make this sort of run, I do feel like Harry Kane would be one to find him. So Harry Kane, as I said, everybody, it's not only the wingers that we like kind of discussed last night in that Conte tactics, breakdown. It's not only the wingers that drop into the half spaces, it also can be Harry Kane. It's a bit different to what Jose did. It's actually quite different, but it is the same sort of premise of him dropping deep to kind of be that creative force. But instead of like it just being the only way of scoring, which kind of was the case under Jose last season, it's one of the ways that we can score this season. And it is Harry Kane dropping into this kind of half space in between the back four and the midfield, or just, dropping deep enough so that, the midfielders or the back four don't really know how to communicate and, whether they should actually be going out to mark him or not. He picks up the ball, he turns, he sees an inverted run in behind the defense by Matt Doherty, pings it up over the top, over the defense to Matt Doherty. Matt Doherty then, plays it across goal to Lucas Moura to score. It could easily be Steven Bergwijn receiving this one to tap it in, but there it is, everybody. Play it one more time. A bit of kind of, Harry Kane, run, losing his marker, losing the center back, and then him just pinging it up over the top to an inverted run to Matt Doherty. And again, Harry Kane, he can be so effective in these areas. He can be so creative in these areas. He can be so deadly in these areas. So everybody, certainly is a very realistic way of us scoring, I must say. I feel like it's a very realistic way of us scoring. But the next one is going to be Reggie crossing. This could be Sessegnon crossing. It really could be Sessegnon crossing. It doesn't have to be Reggie, especially if Reggie's not available for this one. It could easily be Sessegnon, and that's just because, there really is, you know, the same sort of movement that they're kind of expected to do. Region is probably a bit better at finding his man in the box than Sessegnon is, but they will make the same sort of movements. Dark Sun G saying Sess can play as a winger, can he? Yeah, that would be interesting to see Sessegnon and Region playing on the same side. I mean, it certainly could be. Catman Jess is joining us. Big up, Catman. Saying big up, Jack. Sorry, I'm late putting up more Xmas lights. There you go, Catman. Like to see it. Like to see it. And, be careful out there, especially if you're using a ladder, my man. Really, especially if you're using a ladder. Be careful. Mora needs to keep his form. It will be a better team if he does. Seriously, you're absolutely right. From what I heard, it could be reserves versus reserves against Leicester as they're suffering with COVID as well. I don't think it would be that, ridiculous. I don't think it'd be that extreme, Chris, but I think there'll be a lot of players being played out of position. And then there might be a lot of reserve players on the bench. But maybe you're right, Chris. Maybe it's gotten to that stage. Kane the long shot saying, I love Sonny and Sonny loves me. The Harris Army loves you as well. Kane the long shot. The Harris Army loves you. Sonny's fantastic and a credit to the club. He certainly is, George. He certainly is. Harry loves to play against the Foxes. I mean, who doesn't love to play against the Foxes this season? I'll tell you that. I mean, seriously, a lot of people have loved to play against the Foxes. Dark Sun G with the super chat saying Sess can play as a winger, can he? Sorry, I already got to that, but I'll just answer it again. Yes, he can. I would actually maybe like to see Sessegnon and Region just come on for each other so that none of them are overused, though, Dark Sun G. Luke Tracy saying, Jack, you just know your missus is hoping you put this much planning into your future wedding plan. It's actually what's funny is Luke, the missus, she went to school for hospitality and management, and at one stage was going to be a wedding planner. So I do feel like, she's actually the one that will be planning the wedding, which means I can just sit back, relax, and maybe just organize, what sort of drinks we'll be having at the wedding, because she actually enjoys that sort of thing. So, as much as I like to pride myself on a bit of these kind of dedication, organization skills, Luke, it's actually the missus that will be planning it. Because, at one point she was actually taking wedding planning classes. So, maybe one day she might actually become a wedding planner. So I think she's already come up with plenty sort of designs to, design her own wedding, Luke, which I'm very lucky about, because it will be something that she'll find fun and, take a bit of pressure off of me, actually take a bit of pressure off of me. George saying, thanks, Jack. amazing stuff as always. Really appreciate that, George. I do really appreciate it. It does go a long way, my man. And also this one, I will say, George, was a lot more stressful than any other stats with Jack have ever made. This one was quite stressful. Really, like, and I do appreciate the support. And I want you to prove me wrong tomorrow with Stevie B. And if he does prove me wrong tomorrow, just absolutely rub it in my face, my man. Rub it in my face, because I'll be happy if he does prove me wrong. Sean Snow joining us, saying hi, watching Wolves match. And here, big yourself up, Sean. Just keep both screens open, my man. Keep both screens open. But George, really do appreciate it, my man. Really do appreciate it. I do really appreciate it. Spurs 72 saying, thanks for still taking the time to do this, Jack. My Christmas wish is that Hugo stays healthy. God, please. I think we're all putting that on our Christmas list, as well as Sonny, to keep him healthy, to keep Harry Kane healthy as well, to keep Lucas Moura healthy, to keep Højbjerg healthy. There are a lot of players, because the depth of our squad is non-existent. So, in fact, the whole starting 11, I would say, needs to stay healthy, especially Christian Romero. I want to see Christian Romero. That would be part of my Christmas list for him to return early. But Spurs 72, thank you very much. Thank you very much for recognizing the hard work as well that goes into this show. It really does. It's greatly appreciated, my man. It really is greatly appreciated. And I appreciate you as well. And also thank you for always supporting David and I on this journey. And I couldn't agree with you more, my man. I really could not agree with you more. There are a lot of players that I need staying healthy for my Christmas, especially coming up with all these fixtures that will be happening upon us. So big up Spurs 72. Thank you very much for the big one as well. Thank you very much for the big one. Ratchet saying we ain't winning with Ndombele and Winks in the mid. I don't think you possibly can, but if we did, that'd be an absolute miracle, my man. JS saying Winks Masterclass. Just kidding. You're a top man, Jack. Really appreciate you, JS. But Winks Masterclass, I would love for it to happen. I would love for it to happen. Jerry saying I can just see Jack planning his wedding guest seating with the player. Jerry, yeah, I'll do animations of, what's the best route to walk to your wedding seat? What's the best, route through the chapel, and things like that. Jerry, we'll see, what sort of inverted runs you can make into the, the chapel seats and whatnot. So there you are, Jerry. I'll do animations for it. That'll be one expensive wedding. A woman that's not only been dreaming of it all her life, but got a degree in planning. Good luck to you, sir. Yeah, I mean, hopefully, she'll be planning for it. Hopefully she'll be paying more for it. Golden Cock. It is 2021, almost 2022. So, doesn't have to be me paying for it. Maybe it could be mostly her paying for it. So there you are, Golden Cock. But definitely right, my man. The ladders are not my friend, Jack. Well, but just doing the fences. Okay, there you are, Kevin. Yes, you're doing it on level ground. Doing it on level ground. I assume it will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Jack. Hired the whole thing for the day for the Harris Army. Yeah, that would be a fantastic wedding venue. Except Daniel Levy would certainly overcharge me for it. He wouldn't give me any sort of discount, my man. All jokes aside, tomorrow, those players who ain't getting first team football should put their arses on the line. It is time to prove why they're still at the club. Chris, absolute mic drop, my man. Absolute mic drop. We are going to murder Leicester 3-0. I'm loving that. Loving that, Sean Snow. No way, Jackie. Just hope for the best. Let's just hope for the best from all players. Seriously, George. I mean, seriously. But big up, George. Also, thank you for the support, my man. But we are going to go into a Sessegnon / Reggie. Could be Sessegnon or Reggie kind of crossing situation. And this one is going to be, again, kind of sort of Harry Kane. Since, again, everybody, I don't really know who's available in the front three. So a lot of the creativity is going to have to come from Harry Kane. A lot of the creativity is going to have to come from Harry Kane. And so in this scenario, it is kind of like trying to create sort of that Brentford goal that we've seen before. And it's just us kind of winning the ball back in the midfield that we discussed last night in the tactics show. Harry Kane dropping deep, finding Reguilon. It could be Sessegnon as well, making that run in behind the fullback. And then it could be Bergwijn or like a Gio Lo Celso at the back post to put it home. But it is actually quite realistic, I would say, this goal, because it doesn't need to be just Reggie. It could easily be Sessegnon as well. But again, everybody, it doesn't need to be Sonny or Lucas. Really don't pay attention to that. It could be easily Stevie B or like a Lo Celso or even a Dele Alli, God forbid, as well, at that back post receiving this cross as well, this first time cross. But there you are, everybody. That is our second animation for how maybe Spurs could potentially score tomorrow. A lot of it's going to have to come through Harry Kane, especially if Sonny and Lucas are not available. I do feel like a lot of the goals are going to have to come in some shape or form through the creativity of Harry Kane, everybody. And also winning the ball in the midfield is also very important, especially if Højbjerg is not available. I do not, maybe that's maybe the one flaw maybe in this one, is because, Højbjerg is is already to a degree our best ball winner. And then if Skippy's not there as well, I mean, God help us. Seriously, everybody, God help us. But this is, again, one more time, everybody, just to show you the animation of another way we could potentially score tomorrow. It is Harry Kane dropping into this sort of space, and it is kind of trying to be a bit of a carbon copy of that Brentford goal. But we are going to move on to players to target for this one. And just going to make sure I'm not missing any comments, everybody. But Goguma with a super sticker as well. Goguma, I really appreciate all the support. Absolute queen of the Harris Army she is. And it's, I believe, just one of those birds just blowing the hearts as well, and really showing the appreciation. Big up, Goguma. Really appreciate you. Absolute legend you are. Absolute legend. Thank you very much for all the support that you do give David and I. It really does go a long way. And also, hopefully you're keeping well, and hopefully you're not too stressed about this one, Goguma. All I can say is that tomorrow there will be goals. There will be goals. And so hopefully you like goals, Goguma. Hopefully you're going to be okay with maybe us maybe conceding a few as well, considering we might not have the same sort of defense, as well as, we might concede a lot of possession to Leicester City. At the same time, though, they are a team that's very weak defensively. So hopefully we pull off the win tomorrow. I have no idea how it's going to go about, but this is why you do this show, because if you are going to maybe predict a Spurs win, this would be the best play to come. This would be the best place to come to see how it could happen. Golden Cock and also Gogum, I really appreciate all the support. Golden Cock's in. Isn't there some tradition? The bride's parents paired to my sister. Just blame that on my dad. I think, things have changed. I think things have changed. Chris saying, Jess, it's time to either prove their worth or get out of the club. Absolutely, Chris. Absolutely. But really do appreciate all the support, everybody, so far. But players to target: Ndidi, Sumare, and Kasper Schmeichel. I'll break it down why. Ndidi, I believe he's one of the most players dribbled past in the entire Leicester City lineup. He is their best ball winner. He is probably one of their best sort of like defensive, aggressive, and defensive sort of players. But the reason I would actually target him is because he has some of the most giveaways, at least in terms of ratios of giveaways as well, in the entire Leicester City squad. So he is somebody that is very poor on the ball. He is very poor on the ball, and he really does not have a good passing range. So I feel like we do need to take advantage of Ndidi's sort of lack of, passing, I would say, vision, creativity, intelligence, even on in terms of passing. We need to take advantage of that and put pressure on him and make it difficult, for him to find passes, because he will give it away. He also, when he gives it away, he then will try to win it back. And if we get past him, he'll probably take you down and get an early yellow card. He is someone that could pick up an early yellow card as well, Ndidi. So that must be taken advantage of. So the reason he is a player to target is just because he is not good on the ball. Look at his passing numbers from this season. Pretty atrocious, his passing numbers this season. Sumare, I believe, will be deputized as a center back for this one. So that's why I would say you target him, just because he's probably not very comfortable in that position. It's quite new to him. So it's not really too extreme or really, too much something that really needs to be said much further. He's just going to be playing in a very different position. So we'll see how he does in that position as well. Also, maybe on set pieces, we'll see how he does in defending set pieces as well, not being a conventional center back. Kasper Schmeichel is in this one, and let me know what you think of this one, everybody. The reason he's in this is because Kasper Schmeichel, I believe, has made more saves than any other keeper in the Premier League so far this season, which means he's always been put under pressure. But he also has one of the worst post-shot expected goal numbers in the entire Premier League. So that basically means he should have saved more than what's been conceded. So he's conceded more than maybe what sort of the expected goals had kind of predicted. So basically, just suggesting that there are probably plenty that he should have saved that he didn't this season. So this is someone that I would take advantage of. And let me know, everybody. Kasper Schmeichel, I feel like he has a great personality. He's a great leader, but he is getting a bit old and probably needs replacing at Leicester City. And so let me know, do you still rate him as a goalkeeper? Or is he someone that you feel like we could take advantage of? The numbers, the stats this season suggest that he is someone that we should take advantage of. Again, part of the fact that they've conceded so many from set pieces does a bit fall on Kasper Schmeichel. A lot of that does fall on his, end. And then as well, his post-shot expected goal numbers are not good at all. So that is something that must probably be taken advantage of. So I'm looking for Harry Kane to be taking shots from distance. I'm looking for maybe some of our other forwards to maybe just kind of have a bit more liberty to maybe shoot at him and see, if he makes mistakes. So there you are, everybody. Kasper Schmeichel would be my other player I would actually take advantage of. But there you are, everybody. Hopefully, maybe you agree with me. Casper Schmeichel, maybe, his days are numbered. The key battles, it's going to be a midfield battle. If it's not Hoiberg, then I don't know. It could be in Dumbelly and Winks. I don't even want to think about that right now. I really don't even want to think about that right now. But if it is on Dumbelly and Winks, it is the same sort of key battle where it is, James Madison and Yuri Tielemans. How can maybe the midfield be able to handle that sort of creativity of those two players? It certainly is a very key battle. The other key battle could be Region versus whatever fullback Leicester City go with. It could be Castagna. It could be Ricardo Pereira. Ricardo Pereira has returned from injury, but considering all the absentees, maybe Castagna might be moved into center back like I predicted, and then it could be Ricardo Pereira out wide. The whole point being is whoever Sessignon or Reggie come up against, in those wide wing back positions against, their fullbacks for Leicester City is certainly a huge key battle because as well, the left hand side for Spurs has been the most fruitful, has been the most creative of our sides. Sonny's side as well as Reggie's side has been, the most fruitful in terms of creating goals this season. So, however, Leicester City defend that is going to be crucial. But also, as well, it is where we leave ourselves a bit more exposed on that left hand side as well. So, it is certainly a big key battle, everybody. The other one is going to be Harry Kane against Ndidi and Sumare, especially if it's Ndidi and Sumare teaming up together in the back four instead of in the midfield. It is going to be very much a key battle. We'll see how that goes, especially just because these guys, they're very aggressive defenders. Maybe they can marshal Harry Kane well, but also it's possible that they might pick up an early yellow card. It might struggle with Harry Kane's movement, especially if Harry Kane is picking up pockets of space in between those players, in between them in the half spaces. I think it's a very key battle that must be taken into consideration, especially again, since Ndidi, he is a bit overly aggressive at times. And maybe if he picks up an early yellow card, we could see him, struggling to deal with maybe the movement of Harry Kane, especially because Harry Kane is going to need to take a lot of the creativity on his shoulders. But that is the end of the show, everybody. That is going to be the end of the show. Hopefully you've enjoyed this stats with Jack. Again, I kind of worked with a bit less information than before. But hopefully you enjoyed it. I tried my best, give you basically the most informed preview that I possibly can. Like always, though, I would probably argue this is maybe the most informed preview that you can find across the Spurs community because we're using all the stats, especially if you're a betting man. I would say this is maybe your place to be because then you can get all the sort of facts, all the sort of stats that you need maybe to go into this match, either thinking a Spurs win or maybe a Spurs defeat. Who knows? But Gogma as well thrown in another super chat saying, yes, goals, 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 please. Big up, Gogama. Really do appreciate you. And also, I want to see the goals as well. I'd love to see another 3-0, like maybe like in Norwich. I'd love to see just a good game, because especially under Nuno, some of the most boring games I've ever seen in my entire lifetime as a Spurs fan. I would say also, though, that opening match between Antonio Conte and Everton was one of the worst matches I've seen, at least for entertainment. So, entertainment purposes, I could see this match being one of the most entertaining of this entire season. And that's because Leicester City really do struggle to keep goals out of their own net. And as well as, all the absentees that we have in the Spurs side could also make this quite entertaining where who knows, might be seeing a human crayon up top. We might be seeing a Winks in Dombele midfield, which will all give us, heart attacks. So this will be a game of goals. I feel like Ogma. I feel like we can definitely put the house on that one, but really do appreciate the support. And also, absolute queen, you are the Harris Army, absolute queen. But everybody, again, I am going to be tapping out for this one. We will be doing the Matty Hayes show later, a bit of a transfer kind of discussion. And then tomorrow as well, we'll be doing the other preview where David Harris takes the hosting role for that one. And so everybody do stay tuned for this one. The Harris Army, we've been hitting you with so much content this week. So hopefully you have been enjoying it. Sean Snow saying, Hoddle, you're blind. And Sean, just play nice, my man. Just play nice, please. Chris saying most definitely wishful thinking Winks scores 30-yard screamer. I don't even know if Winks can even hit it that far, my man. I don't even know if you can hit it that far. Dark Sun G saying Shamu Huang got a hamstring injury. Sad as a Korean if Sun is also out because of COVID. Yeah, I mean so he did get an injury. That's really, really sad, my man. That is really, really sad. That is really sad, Dark Sun G. I mean that hurts me. That hurts me. I love Huang Hee-chan. I love Huang Hee-chan. Harry hat trick incoming. Absolutely love it, Paul. I'd love to see a Harry hat trick. And Chris also saying, big up as well. Really appreciate you, Chris. Thank you very much, Golden Cock. Um, like David said, everybody tune back in at not half nine if you like transfers. I think everybody likes transfers. I'll tell you that everybody likes transfers, so you have to tune in for that one. Thank you very much, Paul. Shamu, big yourself up. I'm going to go to the post office for the chocolate now, sir. Big up, Shamu. Big up, Shamu. Rashit saying thank you very much, my man. Thank you very much, George. Really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate Yasin as well. Thank you very much, Killian. Also, everybody wish Killian Kenny a big happy birthday as well. Insert audience clapping emphatically give. Thank you very much, Jerry. Also, congratulations on the new job, my man. Congratulations on the new job. But also, Killian Kenny, enjoy your birthday, my man. Enjoy your birthday. Thank you very much, Spurs 72. Thank you very much for the big one earlier, brother. Gogama saying, thank you for the show, Jack. Respect your dedication. No, the dedication is to you guys, and also for you guys welcoming me into this family, welcoming me into this, sort of channel and whatnot. You guys have given me so much support, so much love, and I do really appreciate it. And I'll be forever indebted to you guys. And the dedication is just only it's the best sort of it's the best sort of hard work I could find in the world. Really is. As much as this show and a lot of other shows that David and I put out there takes a lot of hard work, it's the best kind of work, Gogama. But really appreciate you. Really appreciate you. And also appreciate your dedication to supporting David and I, Gogama. Really appreciate that actually as well. But that will be all, everybody, for tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dan N, as well. But we'll be catching you later at half nine, everybody, for that transfer discussion with Matty Hayes, where David Harris will be taking the hosting role for that one. But please subscribe, hit that big red shiny button if you are new to the Stats with Jack show with that big Zidane forehead, maybe a bit of a Roy Keane sort of forehead, and just knock it out of the park. And want to see broken phone screens with that subscribe button. And then as well, please drop that like. And then also as well, feel free to share this show with any other people that you feel like would be kind of interested in this sort of, kind of very informed preview kind of content. But that'll be all for now. Come on, you Spurs. And in Conte we trust.